Hey everyone, Dr. Zio here again, and today we're here to talk about Power Rangers Dino Fury Season 2, Episode 21, The Truth. And boy, are there a lot of truths revealed in this episode, and so let's just jump right into it. As always, we'll do our summary, likes, dislikes, conclusion, and then our question of the week. So this time around, we begin with Amelia continuing to read Pop Pop's memories, and she basically sees Pop Pop when he was a young man working as a janitor at Area 62. There was an experiment that went wrong, which caused an explosion and a fire, and she sees that there were as Pop Pop was trying to escape, there were two aliens within a cell, and the man in the cell, a man and a woman, the man makes Pop Pop promise to keep their baby safe, the baby being Amelia. And so Pop Pop keeps the promise, leaves the Area 62 before the explosion gets to him, and that's basically it. After that, Amelia's antennae come out, and then the other Rangers teleport in, and she walks out and she's like, hey guys, I think my parents were from RAFCON. And they all huddle around Pop Pop, and Zato's like, hey, after all this time, one of my own was right next to me this whole time. And, they're happy. And Ion even says that, you know, sometimes your antennae, they'll come out in times of great stress or something along those lines. In intense situations is what he says, and even he didn't it takes a lot of training to be able to properly use your antennae, and even he didn't have control over his antennae until later on, and a lot of kids made fun of him for it. But at this point, we get a notification that there are more sporks there in the city, so the Rangers go to fight those sporks beasts. At this point, Pop-Pop tells Amelia that if there was anything that survived the explosion and the fire, it was a safe in Area 62. However, also at that point, back at Buzz Blast, Jane is giving a broadcast, basically telling people about the evacuation plans and to get to safety. And just as they're reciting the Sporks hotline or the Ranger hotline number, Void Queen interrupts the broadcast along with Mucus, and they teleport into Buzz Blast. So everyone evacuates Buzz Blast, and Void Queen encases herself with the powered up sporks, and she makes a cocoon out of them. And so now that cocoon's kind of just pulsing with energy. And so the Rangers defeat some more sporks beasts, outside of Buzz Blast. And when they defeat the sporks beasts, their sporks go to Buzz Blast itself. So the Rangers follow suit, and they see the cocoon. And Mucus is like, yeah, I don't really know what her plan is either. And when Mucus touches the cocoon accidentally, it blows her up. I'm like, oh, okay, then that's interesting. And Ollie doesn't know what it is, but they decide, okay, let's call Dr. Akana. If there's anybody who can help us here, it's her. And so they go back to the base. Dr. Akana says that, okay, so this is gathering up a lot of energy. And eventually it's going to need to release that energy. And when it does, it's going to blow up anything within a 30-mile radius. It's all going to be, whatever is in that path is just going to be gone. And so, luckily for the Rangers, Solon says that if they bring the shields up to max, they'll be fine. However, the Garcia siblings are like, okay, we need to call our dad because he's going to need to expand the evacuation radius. Meanwhile, Ion calls Area so that they can get some help, some further help with the evacuation. And then this is all interrupted by Wreckmate growing big and terrorizing the city. So, at this point, the Rangers are about to go defeat Wreckmate when Pop-Pop fakes an additional injury, so Amelia has to stay behind. And he tells Amelia telepathically that in that safe, if there's anything that would have survived, it would have been more information about her parents, files on her parents as aliens, who they were, and I guess where they might be. And so Amelia goes to Area 62 armed with a hazmat suit, Geiger counter, and her spook snare. And when she gets to Area 62, she finds that, okay, there's not really much radiation, or there's no radiation at all. It might have been part of some sort of elaborate cover-up. And she ends up scraping her, tearing her hazmat suit open. And so she's like, okay, whatever, forget it. And she takes off the hazmat suit, but she accidentally leaves a spook snare sitting on a rack, and that gets grabbed by a mysterious hand. And then at that point, Warden Garcia pops up and he's like, what are you doing here? And then she's like, yeah, what are you doing here, Warden Garcia? And he's like, oh, I was just here for a coffee break. underground without coffee. He's like, you know what, forget it. It turns out to be Slither. The Slither transforms back into himself, blasts Amelia, and destroys her comm, or her morpher. At that point, we go back to the Rangers, and they basically fight Wreckmate first in the T-Rex. I think it's T-Rex Freeze, T-Rex Terror Freeze Megazord. Basically, the T-Rex Champion Zord plus the Terror Freeze Megazord configuration. Then they switch to the Primal Ultra Zord, blast Wreckmate into space, and then destroy him. On the flip side, Amelia's over here in a really good unmorph fight, fighting off Slither, and she's doing a pretty good job. And go back to the Rangers. That Solon lets them know, hey, we can't find Amelia. And Solon, Dr. Arcana looked, and she's like, yeah, I can't find her anywhere either. And Pop-Up is like, okay, she's at Area 62. Y'all probably want to get over there. And so back at Area 62, before Slither can deliver the final blow, Ollie pops in and saves Amelia. Then the rest of the Rangers pop in. Izzy gives Amelia a new morpher. They all morph, get into a fight. Zato takes on Slither in the Dino Knight armor, but before he can deliver a final blow, Slither teleports away and he's gone for the rest of the episode. So they take care of the henchmen, and after that they proceed further into Area 62, and they end up in the main villain's base of operations. And at this point, Amelia gets shot with her spook snare, and she gets electrocuted, which demorphs her. Then we see that it's Void King who had the spook snare. He slashes at the other Rangers, and that demorphs them too. Before he can deliver the final blow to the Rangers, Amelia tackles him and starts reading his memories. And we get a nice little flashback of Tarek and Santura coming to Earth with their baby, and they have antennae, so we know that they're Ravkonians, and they were here scavenging Earth for supplies. And there's a woman in Area 62. Basically, they captured Tarek and Santura and put them in the room. Then we see the whole Pop-Up encounter from Tarek's point of view, giving Amelia to Pop-Pop, and then the explosion happens, and Santura asks, what happened? Did you think they made it out alive? And Tarek's like, yeah, no, nobody would have been able to escape that. And a rock hits Santura on the head. She falls to the ground. She's like, we need to get revenge on the humans. And then she passes out. So at this point, we show Tarek building the stasis chamber that kept Santura alive, and we saw it all of season 1 and the first bits of season 2. We also see him building the jukebox that would go on to power the stasis chamber to revive Santura, but obviously he doesn't have enough power to do so. And then we see him open up a box in Area 62, and in that box are the Dino Knight Morpher, Key, and a Chroma Fury Saber, which we will address here in my dislike section. And obviously uses that to build the Void Knight armor. And then we switch back to the events of the first episode with Tarek as Void Knight looking for the energy source, that being the Sporks. And so we go back to the events here at Area 62, and Tarek, Void King is like, oh my gosh, you're my daughter. I saw the memories. I saw your memories, and you saw mine. And similar to how it worked in Bad Vibes with Izzy and Javi, where those positive memories about them reminiscing about the good times with their parents throughout seasons 1 and 2, removed all the Sporks energy from them. It works the same way here. Those positive memories about Santura, himself being Tarek, and his baby, and realizing that his baby is still alive in Amelia. Amelia is his baby. That dispels all the Sporks energy from Tarek or from Void King, and becomes Tarek again. And so at this point, Solon, they rejoice because, hey, we're back, we're a family again. And Solon tells them, hey, it's time. The city is gridlocked. No one can get out of out of city, and Void Queen's cocoon is about to blow any second. Like, we're gonna be okay. We got Pop and Dr. Kana out of, I guess, Dino Hinge. I don't know why they would do that. Why not just keep them there? But I guess for safe, just in case the shields aren't enough, they can obviously teleport them back to Japan or to a safe distance away from the blast radius. But yeah, things aren't looking good. We end there on a cliffhanger. So let's go ahead and talk about my likes for this episode. First and foremost, as always, is the comedy scenes. When Jane is doing her broadcast, she's reading from some cue cards. And while she's reading those cue cards, she says, now turn card over. and it was just perfect delivery. It was very natural, and it was just so funny because it was not something I would have expected her to say, and I like the touch there. Additionally, we also get the Ranger Hotline jingle back from the Javi and his dad episode back in season one. I'm like, yes, I love that. Like that was a good little scene. And then J Boy gets interrupted by Mucus and Void Queen, but it was a good moment to have that jingle again just before just one more time before the series is over. Additionally, while the Rangers are saving Amelia, Izzy and Javi activate the Dino daggers and they tell Ollie to duck. And they throw the Dino daggers and destroy the rest of the henchmen. And Ollie's like, "Hey, so what if I wouldn't have ducked there?" And Amelia pops up and she's like, "It's better not to worry about it." I'm like, "Oh my god, that's funny." And also a resourceful use of the Dino daggers. And Lord knows this is probably the only good use of the Dino daggers in this season because those things have a really bad batting average. Additionally, when the Rangers are battling Wreckmate with the Terror Rex whatever Zord, they use the Terror Rex Zord's what is it? The Terror Rex Blast, where it's two arms plus I think the chest piece to blow not the Terror Rex Zord, sorry, the Primal Ultra Zord. When they use the Primal Ultra Zord when they're fighting Wreckmate, they use the Terror Rex Blast, which is the two arms and I think the chest piece, and it shoots Wreckmate into space. And that was a good use of the blast, one. And two, it's nice to see that blast again because if you remember, it looks exactly like the Primal Extinction Blast that we saw back in, I believe it was Ancient History. No, it was, yeah, it was Ancient History we saw when Ion debuted. And I'm still miffed that that's not the Zord's final attack. Like it really should have been. Its current final attack is really underwhelming, but whatever. Again, I digress. It was a nice use of the attack. Moreover, that fight between Slider and Amelia was the best unmorph fight we've gotten all season. Season 1, Season 2, doesn't matter. Excuse me. It was the best unmorph fight we've seen from Dino Fury. And just bravo on Hunter Dino for that performance. Just absolutely bravo. Like, it was really, really good, and I liked every bit of it. And again, it makes me more excited to see more unmorph fights, hopefully, from Cosmic Fury. And then Amelia having another morpher on hand, or them having another morpher for Amelia, is a good touch and a good bit of continuity. Because if you remember, back in Amelia's bad luck episode in season 1, the Monster of the Week destroyed her morpher, and then Mucus took it back to Void Knight at Area 62. So Solon and her had to make up a new morpher. And you'll remember that Solon told Amelia that they only have one of the material to make a new morpher, so that's the last one that they can make. And so later on in the episode, when Boom Tower teleports into the base with a repaired morpher, they end up stealing the morpher back. So now Amelia has two morphers. So now when Slider ends up destroying morpher number 1, they still readily have that backup available. And that was a good piece of continuity to put in, and something that was like a worthwhile. It makes that episode back then even more valuable in retrospect. But otherwise, my last like for the episode was the good backstory between Santora, Void Knight, Santora, Tarek, and Pop Pop. Like the way Dino Fury has been presenting its flashbacks has been really, really nice. Like the music, the hazy border indicating that this happened in the past, mostly the music. It all just feels very tense, and those flashbacks are just very enjoyable. Like, Bert Selin has been doing a very, very good job with this season, as I've said before, and I pray that he comes back for Cosmic Fury, because as far as I'm concerned, he is a necessary element, or a necessary piece of this franchise, at least of the current incarnation. I don't know what their plans are for Jonathan Entwistle's Netflix series. I don't know what they plan on doing, but Bert Selin is currently a necessary asset for the music section for the current incarnation of the TV show, and I cannot wait to see what he comes up with Cosmic Fury if he does come back for that season. So let's go ahead and talk about my dislikes for the episode. I want to preface this with none of my dislikes are too serious, except for, I guess, my second one, but we'll get to that in just a second. Most of them are nitpicky. My first one is that Mucus got destroyed. As I've said multiple times before, I wanted Mucus to survive all of this. I wanted her to become like a sister figure for Amelia. I wanted her to either, if not that, then to join the Rangers and, be somebody who Solon could hang out with at the base. That would have been dope. So to see her accidentally get destroyed, it sucked. Like, that hurt me a lot. Although it was an effective way to communicate just how powerful Void Queen's cocoon was. So props on that. The fact that no one's been able to really destroy Mucus, and then Void Queen's cocoon does just that without, like, batting an eye. Like, good way to communicate that power. Props on that. But another thing I dislike, which is more serious, is that Amelia kisses Ollie in the cheek, before the Rangers go off to fight Wreckmate. And while they're a cute couple, and I don't necessarily have a problem with that alone, I do have a problem with the fact that Amelia and Ollie get a kiss together, but Izzy and Fern don't get a kiss when they say their goodbyes. Like, that does bother me. Like, I understand that Simon Bennett did say that, kids aren't really looking for kisses in their kids' TV shows, which I kind of disagree with that. Like, we have other kids shows showing kisses every now and then, and we have, kids still watch Disney movies. Like, those Disney movies do have kisses in them, so I do disagree with him on that front. But beyond that, I just would have liked to see Izzy and Fern just get a peck on the cheek at least. Like, if not both couples kissing, then I would have at least liked Izzy and Fern to kiss and whatever for Amelia and Ollie. So yeah, I didn't like it. I mean, I don't expect it because, again, it's a queer couple and a kid's show. I'm not really expecting that much. Like, just what they've done so far is way beyond my expectations for Power Rangers in general. I would not have expected them to go as far as to have those two give any sort of kiss, whether it's on the hand, lips, or on the cheek. But again, it's something I would have liked to see, especially in that moment where they said their goodbyes, because it would have been a nice end cap to that little scene. But beyond that, another thing I didn't like was the fact that a rock falling on Santora when there were the explosions happening at Area 62 is what put her in that stasis chamber. Like, really? 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 I understand that Simon Bennett also said that they had to be careful with filming Santora's actress because she was 9 months pregnant at the time. I understand that that's a serious deal. But, like, they had a stunt double or a body double. Like, I don't know, they couldn't have filmed something else to happen with her, something more serious, because a rock falling on your head, yeah, I understand it can put you into a coma, but I was expecting something more dramatic from her being in a stasis chamber. Like, go back to Power Rangers in Space with Zane being in his little, I guess, stasis chamber, or not, whatever Andros had him in. Like, a rock didn't fall on his head. Like, he took a direct explosion. He basically sacrificed himself so that Andros wouldn't get blown up by the monster. Like, that was impactful. It was dramatic. It was worthy of him being in that chamber. It was dramatic. It was worthy of the dramatics surrounding that situation. Santora having a rock fall on her head does not command that same drama. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. It really doesn't. But the last thing I didn't necessarily like was the fact that Area 62 had a Chroma Fury Saber on hand. I don't mind that the Dino Knight Morpher or Key being with them, but the Chroma Fury Saber doesn't make any sense, and it kind of goes against the continuity of the show. Because if you remember, in episode 1, when we go down into Dino Henge, there are 4 Chroma Fury Sabers on the wall. One for each of the Lost Rangers, aside from Ion, because he didn't have a Chroma Fury Saber. Meanwhile, the 5th one was with Zato inside his stasis chamber. So all 5 Chroma Fury Sabers are accounted for and currently in the base at that time. So there's no possible way that Area 62 could have had a spare one on hand. And there's no indication between episode 1 and episode 21 that there was a 6th Chroma Fury Saber either for Ion or a backup that they were holding, just because. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, I would have, if they were going to go this route, I would have liked them to set that up in some way, shape, or form earlier in the season, because as it is right now, it doesn't jive with everything else that's happened in this series. But overall, though, that aside, yeah, this has been a fantastic episode. Like, We finally have Void Queen, taking big moves here. We got more backstory on Santura and Tarek and how they ended up where they were. We finally got Area 62 answers from Pop Pop, even if we had to get Amelia reading his mind to get those answers. And we got our family reunited, at least for the most part. And it ended up with a cliffhanger. And I can't wait to see where this goes. Even though, yeah, I've seen it at this point. But yeah, I can't wait to see where this goes. I don't really have a question of the week. This For this episode, everything was pretty cut and dry. Like I suppose we could ask, how did Area 62 get a Chroma Fury Saber? How did they get the Dino Knight Morpher and Key? But we can just assume that after this Great Sporks battle, they were laying around like bits and pieces of Ranger tech, just laying around there, and they found it. Just like they were doing excavation stuff, and they found the location of the Tiger Zord. Like they didn't necessarily get to it exactly, but they found the general location of the Tiger Zord. So I assumed it's a similar situation where they found the Chroma Fury Saber, Dino Knight Morpher, and Dino Knight Key. So yeah, it's not really a question I really have for this episode. But that's really all for today. Let me know what y'all thought about this episode in the comment section below. Please like, subscribe, because it does help with the YouTube algorithm. As always, wear your mask, stay safe, get your booster shots. Omicron boosters are available at CVS, Walgreens, and wherever else your boosters are available, because you do want to get all that stuff because COVID is no joke. As always, thank you again for watching. I always appreciate it. I'm Dr. Zio, and I'll see y'all next one. Ciao.